Alright, so it's finally been enough time since my last video where I kind of don't. I can make the video without not knowing what to talk about, if that makes sense. So since my last video, I've been working on this piece to kind of practice just exterior environments. And outside of that, honestly, just practice. Like anything I could think of to practice in this piece, I've pretty much practiced at least a little bit to get a little mileage or a little bit more mileage with whatever. But where we last left off, man, I'm drawing blanks. I don't know how. Where we last left off, I was kind of just talking about these different angles that I was thinking about choosing for the piece, and just a little bit like just explaining what my thought process was in terms of where I'd go from there. I guess I don't know, but I'm just gonna hop right into it because I do need to cook soon. It's like 3 right now. I'm figuring this video could end up being an hour long, so 3 to 4. I do that, and then from 4, I go eat, and then I go to jujitsu at like 5:30 ish. So I'm just trying to plan out the day because I'll talk about a little bit more things that are obviously I like to try to keep the first half of my videos to concept art and all that, and then at the end of my videos I like to just talk about the things that I'm dealing with that tend to influence that concept art side of things. For those of who for those of you who aren't fucking familiar, basically I just try to give the entire picture in terms of, or at least my perspective of chasing concept art as a career. Obviously it's a lot of people's dream careers, but like they don't, a thing that's not often brought up, or at least I mean it seems like it's starting to get brought up more now. It's just the fact that like in pursuit of certain things, I mean this could be across any industry, in pursuit of something you're gonna have to say no to other things and learn how to manage other things that compete for that time that you want to spend on X, right? So if X is your goal, you have Y and Z and W and whatever other alphabet you want to fucking use here that's going to be competing for that time, and it's obviously going to be up to you to kind of allocate more. Think of it like RAM, right? Like to pursue something seriously you might need X amount of RAM, but other things need RAM too, and it's really hard to get more of it. I guess RAM could just be time, but like the way that I'm kind of explaining it is kind of like I want to say like discipline or mental focus, because like for me, anyways, I'll talk about this shit later. So yeah, where I last left off, I was just starting this piece because on my portfolio, let me pull that up real quick. I don't have a lot of, god damn it, I have 3 monitors now, so every now and then I drag something to the top and then it just doesn't like, because I got 2 monitors like left and right, and then I have one on the top in the middle, so every now and then I drag something to go to like full screen, and then my damn monitor doesn't catch it, like the other monitor, you get what I'm trying to say. But anyways, basically the whole reason behind, fuck dude, am I that rusty? Are you fucking kidding me? The whole reason behind me wanting to do this piece was because I have a lot of things showing like, the ability to design an interior or like set dress. But now I want to move into things that I haven't done so much of, which is exterior shots and just cinematic shots, scenic shots, whatever you want to say. The best example that I've seen here, let me pull this up here. Or I wouldn't say the best example, but the most immediate example I have would probably be like stuff like this for tabletop RPG, whatever, like any kind of game loading screen you've probably ever seen in your life, right? I don't know what I just rejected. But like yeah, it's just practicing these kinds of styles of cinematic shots, right? And then like playing around with different variations of that. Which, looking at this is crazy. Yeah, shout out to these guys. They're doing a awesome job with all of these variations and stuff, man. damn, if only I looked at this for reference when I was doing my shit. Because I was looking at a completely different piece that they had, which I'll show later. But basically, I'm trying to diversify my portfolio just to show more things. Like here, the idea here, I was just going for prop design, which in this one it was pretty generic, but usually with the lower numbers, or what I might start doing is like I upload one with an even number, right? Or an odd number. The odd number is just something basic, just kind of a practice piece. And then an even number is something I'm comfortable with. That's just, a little bit, or a subject that I'm comfortable with design things being pushed a lot more. That might be like an underlining, that might be like a little background thing I try, or something like every other piece. So I have simple pieces where I try to practice more, and then odd pieces, or more deeply designed pieces where I kind of just go out all out. For example, like this one, just without the set dressing in it, right? These can be easily mistaken as potion bottles, right? But they were supposed to be like ink. But what I'm saying is, like, if you take away these papers that I have here and all the text, like, you just see a dresser, but you don't really think about, like, what the dresser is supposed to be, who it's supposed to be for. Like, it's just a generic kind of dresser thing that opens at the top. But a deeper level of design would probably communicate that without the set dressing. Like, you would have probably a lot of things related to that, like a compass like built into the desk, you know what I mean? Something that gives that kind of functionality, even though it might not actually be functional. It might help sell the whole idea of it belonging to like a person who makes maps, just, I don't know, man. Like, think of a cape, right, versus a cape with a compass on it. You get what I mean? Like, the compass on the cape. I'm sure you guys get what I'm saying. I'm probably over explaining this shit. But anyways, so, okay, all that to say, I started off with this piece wanting it to be super basic. I didn't want it to be overly complicated or anything like that. Just to practice exterior shots. So what that meant to me was just something that was simple, on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe like a 3 or something. A 3 just being super simple. Cabin in the woods. Here's the little screenshot I did actually. Yeah, see, something more on the simpler side. Just stay away from high and dense detailing, which I'm always tempted to do. So this piece was a nice change of pace as far as that goes. Like, I just didn't want to have to worry about doing super research and super design. I just wanted to focus more on outdoor scenes and trying to practice painting trees and stuff. I don't know. So at the end of my last video, I kind of showed this, and if you guys want a little bit more context, and as far as that goes, you can just go watch like the second half of my latest video. I have it actually on my second monitor. Starts around like 40. I'm looking at the side, the scroller. Yeah, it starts around like 43 minutes, I want to say. 43 minutes, 15 seconds on my last video. And then you'll catch up on this. So since then, I did a few sketches to just kind of figure out which angle I wanted to do it from, because the typical things that we did in FCD, they were always like kind of 3/4 top-down view. Cinematics is usually pretty leveled as far as like the horizon line, so I just played around with different you could see focal lenses I had here. So I had like 28mm, I had one that was a little bit more skewed, a lot more skewed, which is 14, and then I had 13. So in terms of like hierarchy, right, 28 would probably be the most, commonly found focal lens. At least I think it's like something like 23 or something. I'm not too sure about that. But the more you start to play with that number, the higher, the lower, like the further you get from that, whatever that focal lens is that people usually use. It's like to simulate real life, like what your human eye sees as far as a camera lens. But the further you get away from that number, the more like unordinary, like the more weird it gets, right? So I just wanted to play with that a little bit, just to kind of add a different, like, I don't know, considering my design level wasn't that high, I just wanted to do something that was gonna, throw a little wild card in there. And immediately I got some, like, my boys from FCD, my boy Satchet specifically, shout out Satchet. Um, he's like, yo, like, he's like, why is it like a vertical rectangle? Like, why'd you decide to do that? And for me, it was just, doing something that was out of the ordinary. I just wanted to try something different. Even though it wasn't like the usual, the norm or whatever. Like, I was just like, hey, like, just throwing in a little wild card there. Not to say like he had like a crazy problem with it or called me stupid or some shit. Like, I'm just saying, like, that was one of the first things he pointed out. Hold on, I gotta blow my nose or something. Be right back. All right, so yeah, that was pretty much the thoughts here. So I didn't want the shot to be too complicated, and to be honest, the sketches actually turned out a little bit more detailed than like the actual. I don't want to say that. Holy shit, I'm flaming myself right now. I felt like these have like a very nice appeal. I don't know what I did, but I felt like as far as my sketches go, I kind of caught lightning in a bottle or something. I was just looking at like trying to keep it loose, fun. I wasn't trying to make it like super super detailed or anything like that. Just had fun with it. Definitely something I'm gonna do more often. As far as just planning and the planning process, and that's another thing too, right? Like that's another part of my process or my portfolio that I'm trying not to avoid. Is like, or I'm trying to remember to keep in mind is like keeping everything with purpose, dude. Why the fuck can I think, man? I'm gonna lose my mind. There's no way. Okay, basically what I'm trying to say is like I'm trying to do things as far as my workflow goes, like trying to be very, I don't know what the word is, man, and I'm starting to lose my shit. It's like on the inside of my brain, you could just hear that uh like you guys know the meme with the like the monkey with the fucking clapping thing, like just fucking clapping shit with the like loud instrument or whatever. That's what's going on in my damn head right now. I'm trying to remember what I was about to say. Like, I want to be intentional, I guess is the word, with every piece that I make. I don't want there to be just a comfort piece where I just stay in my comfort zone. Because like whenever I do things and finish like pieces or whatever, like I like the fact that there's a little bit of shock. Like if I went back in time and showed it to myself, I'd be surprised that I did it. Kind of not in terms of like what the subject matter is, even like just in terms of like how different it is from what I'm usually comfortable doing. In one way or another, it's gonna be I don't know. But yeah, so that's that with the sketches. So we'll just go from there. So if, for anyone wondering, for all of these sketches, I did do them over a 3D base as well. So let me just show those here. Let me see if I can. All right, so for the top right one, let me. So for the top left, sorry, this was like the 3D that I used. So I just blocked in the house really fast and did the rest through sketching to keep it as simple as I could. I essentially only used it for like perspective. And this is something else that I'm trying to get more comfortable doing, is just going into a piece using the most like bare bones version of my 3D and then trying to push that with a draw over, a paint over or something like that to just kind of get more comfortable with drawing, like just drawing in general. I don't want to rely on the 3D too much. So that's another challenge. Well, it's not that I'm relying on it too much per se, but like it's like I just, if I needed to do something really quickly, like these sketches, for example, like I know I could do it. So it's just something in the back of my mind that I just like, oh, I wonder if I could do that. And then I just tried, you know. So that was kind of my thought process behind that. Like it's just fine. It's just like if my subject matter is gonna be super simple with low design, like why not just keep trying to throw those little challenges in there, those little curveballs. Okay. So this was the second one. So this is the 3D that I used in Blender for that, and this is the sketch over. So it's not like I'm adding anything crazy. You know what I mean? It's just like I just use the perspective and try to match that with everything else that I draw into it. It's kind of like a really subtle holy shit. It's a really subtle way to practice the perspective too. Like even though I'm not drawing any, like I'm no Sid Mead or anything, or what's this guy's name, dude? Scott Robertson. Who is Skid Mead? Sid Sid Mead. Let me see. Okay, Sid Mead. I'm thinking of the right. Okay, Sid Mead, Scott Robertson. They're both goaded. All right, I'm not like confusing the guy with like a goddamn musician or something. Not to say a musician can't be cracked. I'm just fucking saying. I gotta clarify that shit just in case there's like someone super literal in here. Um. Okay, so that was that one, and then this is kind of the 3D. Yeah, this is the 3D right here that I used for this one. So yeah, it's like I just pretty much draw over it. It's just like I add very basic things to the shots, but I just want to get comfortable, and with each piece just push that a little bit further. And eventually one day like I'll just try drawing it for with like without the smaller shapes, just big blocks or something, you know. So I wouldn't even make the triangle. Like for example, right? All that would be right here is like one square, and then two squares, three, and maybe the rectangles, you know what I mean? And then just draw all the other stuff in there, draw the roof in, you know. So fast forward a little bit, we get to the first thing, my first like 3D pass. So at this point I chose number 3, and from here I just started adding like base materials, no like crazy textures or anything. Just wanted it to be super basic in terms of the colors, the rendering. But if you notice one thing, I didn't add the curtains. So god damn it, next time I do a personal project, my next project, I'm doing straight. I'm gonna do so much cloth. It pissed me off that I couldn't figure that out. Like I started overthinking it or something, man. Because during this whole like piece thing, I was kind of going through a huge mental block. I don't know what it was, but like, yeah, I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But yeah, I think at that point, like the challenges started catching up with me, and I just didn't want to do the curtains. I don't know, but it would have looked so much better with the curtains, man. I fumbled that. I'm not gonna lie, boys. I fumbled that. So yeah, base 3D. This is just a render pass from not the what, dude. What is this mental fog, dude? I'm gonna fucking it's like actually killing me right now. What is the what? Okay, let me look it up. Okay. Um. Oh, oh my god. Cycles. All right, it's the cycles render, not the base render. Cycles render. So yeah, this was the first pass, and then I started kind of painting over it, not too much, but just kind of getting rid of the whole, like I didn't even add like the sky and anything yet. I'm just like playing with colors at this point, but you can see like on the trees in the background, I started kind of filling in those spots that make it look all 3D and pixelated a little bit. And for the like planks and stuff, I just kind of gave them an outer ring of light that kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but like you can see like on the square, right? It's, I wish I could switch one the photos with it just staying at that zoom level. I don't know how to do that though. But Yeah, just kind of went and gave it like a little art pass. Added in rocks. Uh, yeah, here I started adding like a little edge lights and a little texture on stuff, which I think I did a pretty good job at. Started adding in like slowly sneaking in little rocks, slowly sneaking in little trees and plants. Like you could see, I'm trying to break that flat texture that I have here at the bottom by just like drawing patches of, you can see it, right? Like here's the texture, and then like subtly you can see me just scribbling patches of color in there. And I think that was just like my version of trying to break up that 3D feel a little bit, which I ultimately failed at the end to do that because I showed it to I think one of my friends. He saw it and he was like, wait, this is 3D or is this the, and I was just like, I was gonna headbutt my table through my table through my head. I was gonna headbutt my head through the table, god damn it. So that kind of sucked. I think I know why he said that though, and I'll talk about that a little later. I think it was mainly because of these windows. Like the window lighting was probably super flat or something. I don't know, but you guys will be the judge of that later. You can also see like I use this add-on called geoscatter for the plants to like randomly scatter the plants along the plane. And then later I start like going in there and trying to just like subtly sneak these like brush strokes into them to like break that 3D feel a little bit more. Started playing with the sky. I mean, yeah. Every day I just kind of just chipped at something different. Which in hindsight I would just try to keep working on nature things one day and then work on the stone textures another day or something. Like, because in between each time I was working on this, like it was a few days, I'm pretty sure. Like, because around this time I definitely slowed down. I probably stopped drawing for the longest time I have since FZD actually, which was like a month. I think I took like a month off or like 2 months or something, which is for me is kind of crazy. Just depending, like considering how much I like to draw. Like I just not as much, like not to the point where it like replaces anything like gaming or anything, but like I don't know. For me, it was kind of crazy. I was definitely, dude. I was in Doom City. I swear to God. It's just like I like. For me, I hate seeing the industry on flames. Like it's like it makes. It just fucking sucks, man. Just for a second, I'm gonna talk about it, man. Like being an aspiring artist, right? And you're trying to get into this industry, and all you're seeing is these people that you like look up to getting laid off. It's like, fuck, what are my chances? Like now that person doesn't have a job, we're applying to the same kinds of jobs now. Like what the fuck? So it's just like to me it just kind of like, I don't know. I just kind of spiraled into that mindset, and it really fucked me for a while because I stopped drawing. Like I was just like, all right, I gotta take a break from this shit because I think I was getting close to burning out. To be honest, I think I was really close to burning out. So I took like, I think a month and a half off. It was just, man, it's still tough to think about, like, you know what I mean? But then the thing is, like, for me at least, like these things will stop me when they come up, right? When I start thinking that way and I kind of get really pessimistic about like the industry or whatever, I tend to like take a step back, and then whenever I'm not really trying as hard as I could be, that fucks with me even more. So I end up kicking back into gear. You know what I mean? It's this weird cycle where like I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm gonna do another personal project, and then like, but the whole thing is like learning when to take that break, and that's the hardest part for me because it's like I'll be at my day job or whatever, you know. I mean, I recently got promoted from like a truck team guy to like warehouse manager. So like it's like when I'm getting up, I have to be one of the first people at the warehouse, right? Because I'm the warehouse manager. So I get there first, and like in the morning, I'm listening to my music or whatever, and I'm just like, fuck, I didn't draw this at all this week, man. Like, you keep this shit up, like 10 years have gone by, your ass is still here. Like, it's like I, that's the way I think, man. And then it just scares me back into working. But luckily I'm able to, not let that happen before I've actually taken that break. Anytime after that, like once I've officially been like, all right, I can definitely like go back to drawing. I'm not burned out. Any extra time after that, I'm just thinking about that. Every morning I'm getting up at 4 in the morning to go to work. It's like I gotta be there at 5:30. I'm waking up at 4 because I'm so exhausted. Like I know how I have a high snooze, right? So like I'll wake up at 4, snooze till like goddamn 4:50, dude. Get ready in like 15 minutes. My work is like 15 minutes away. I'll get there at 5:30, 5:35 or something. But yeah, it's like it gets me down for a while, and then it just reminds me that like if I don't try, like that just guarantees that nothing's gonna happen. At least I have the chance. Like I just, man, there's something to talk about later, I guess. I don't want to, for some of you guys, like I know for some people out there it kind of annoys them how I jump around topics, you know what I mean? But like it all comes together, you know what I mean? That it's all to say that like during my time working on this, if it feels like I'm jumping from random thing to random thing, that's probably why. It's because like nothing is structured at this point. It's all like on a whim almost. Okay, this is probably my favorite transition here. So like I said, I'm slowly sneaking in like brushstrokes, right? Like with the plants, like how you see right here. Like just pay attention to these plants right here. You see that? Like it's barely noticeable, but you see like I do these little things where I start adding, like especially right here, like you can see I'm painting in like extra leaves and shit. You see that? And then also painting in on the ground a little bit more. Just like slowly chipping away at the ground to make it less 3D looking. Okay, so yeah, I did that here again. So I added like these little red berry type things or something. And then I started learning how to draw like patches of plants. Now, this is something that I've never really done before. So this was very new for me, but once I kind of clicked with it, like I came to a conclusion where I liked it. Basically what I do is like I draw the shadow of the plant first, kind of, and then I draw what you can see on top of that. That's the best way I can explain it. But basically, as far as like the plants that are on the wall, breaking up, if there's plants everywhere, there should be plants along the building as well. You never want there to be like this straight like going from ground to, how do I explain it? There's exceptions for this, right? Here, let me hit it in my drawing tablet. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I think that's it. All right. So if you have a building, right? You have this building right here. You got like fucking windows and shit, right? Goated building, right? By the way, S tier, S tier design. You got the antenna, some antenna to their shitty Wi-Fi that goes out every week. Okay, you guys get it. Got the dumpster in the back. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So this point right here, it'll look a lot better. Like say, okay, I'm gonna actually give you guys like a quick, even with sketches, this shit's gonna work. Watch. All right, so say you got trees, right? You got trees. These are some massive fucking trees, by the way. So all right, it's a building in the middle of a forest, right? So you got trees right here, it's gonna look a lot better if you start to like add, like, okay, these things are like completely separate from each other. They do, like this one and this one, they don't intersect at all. Let's say you got plants, and I'm doing this with sketches. I think this also helps too, because it doesn't matter that it's just a sketch, because I feel like it you could be literally drawing like this, or you could be drawing like goddamn Scott Robertson, and the I feel like the same thing will apply, right? And a lot of you guys probably know where I'm going with this. So you've got three elements here. You've got the building, you've got the trees, and then you got the grass. Now what you don't have right here is transition. So whenever like something on the Y plane, so let's say Z plane touches something on the okay, in this case, this can be in 3D too, it doesn't matter, but you have these three things that never interact with each other. They're kind of in isolation. You know, they have this bubble. Imagine they all have a bubble, right? And none of those bubbles ever touch another bubble. It's a lot more believable when they do, and they slightly go over each other, right? Because you have this version, and then imagine the version where they actually do intercept, like the bubbles of these things. So instead of this tree being right here, right, you have like it. Maybe it blocks the view, and they haven't like fucking trimmed the grass. Holy fuck, man! I'm like Stutter City today, man. So they haven't trimmed the grass, so you got this like tree that's like intercepting right there, and then you got like a small tree right here in front of the building, you know, right? Let's see, maybe you got trees behind the building. Maybe not right there, like maybe a smaller tree right there. You got trees behind trees. You see what I mean? Like, it just starts looking a lot better when things overlap, because that's what happens in real life. Nothing is exact like 100% by itself, never interacting with anything else, unless like man made it that way. Naturally, you do not get those like circle, you know, like you ever been downtown and you have those squares, like there's sometimes like a square with a tree in the middle and it's just by itself, and then like 50 feet down you have another tree that, like, that shit's not natural. The way trees pollinate and all that stuff, they send out these little seeds and they fucking fly in the wind. Sometimes they go this way, sometimes they go that way, so obviously they're naturally gonna, you know, maybe a seed lands right here and then there's like a little baby tree right there, you know what I mean? Maybe it's in front of the tree, you know? All this to say, it's gonna look a lot better if you have some overlap. And then that's not where it ends too. Like it can also be like with the grass. So the grass isn't always gonna be away from the trees. So you add the plants in front of the trees sometimes. Holy shit, this is such a tangent, man. But this is for those who don't like, who aren't aware of, like, because I feel like this is also something that's kind of hard to teach. So you got like plants here, and you got like plants behind the trees, plants behind the plants. You know what I'm saying? Little bushes. I'm trying to keep this like, I'm like fighting the urge not to make this like serious, because like I naturally want to start designing. Dude, I'm like, dude, I could not imagine my life without this shit. I swear to God. Like I'm fighting the urge to add more like detail. I'm trying to keep it like shitty sketch, you know what I mean? All right, so you add the trees. Now maybe some of you guys, you know, if I was a teacher, some of you guys would be asking, Oh wait, you can even add them. Fuck. You can even add them in front of the building. Maybe they haven't cut the grass. You know what I mean? You got some like patches in the sidewalk or something. Little bush here. Maybe some like plant, like small plants, right? So that like now I just introduced a fourth element, right? Like little grass. And then a fifth element could be rocks. Right? And the thing is, like, you can do this with all of these things. And eventually, like, you have this level of the like detail. Even at the edge of your border, you can have trees coming in that you can't even see the trunks to. So if it was like that, have like half a tree. And then behind that have like a bush, and then at the bottom of the tree you could have like another, and then add these little plant things in there, and these little bladed leaves, right? So now listen, I know that I added more to this one, but what I'm saying is like in some places it might be too dense, okay? But all of this is to say, like, naturally overlapping things and learning how or when to do that. Like, see how it like blocks that window? Like, that's probably, you know, if it was a PvP game, like maybe this is a busted spot, like being in the windows is super busted, right? So like you can balance that by having, you know, trees overlap, like where maybe this is some Last of Us shit, right? Like naturally you're gonna think that when you think, you know, a concrete building and a bunch of plants around it. But like that's another way that you could limit the strength of that position, right? Is like block off this way. So if you're in this window, you know that this person, if you were coming from this angle, right? Like la 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 la, I got my purple loot. All right, you got your purple loot bag or whatever the fuck. You know that Timmy in this window cannot snipe you because the trees are there. Timmy cannot snipe you. Timmy can only look this way. And so when, as a player, as you get better map knowledge, you know what I mean? You're walking this way and you're like, oh, I know that window can't see me, so I'm gonna just stay along this tree line. And then, but on this side, like maybe all the trees are collapsed or like blown over by like a tornado or something, who knows? So coming from, or say if this was north and this was south, like coming at the building from the south side is more advantage than the north side. And then up here, you're like, oh, what if there aren't any trees? You know, and you're on the fourth floor and you have, you know, these windows that can't be blocked as easily. Well, at that point, you can start doing the bullshit thing what devs love to do is like boarding up the windows, right? Like you board the shit out of the windows, or like you had someone come in and board the windows. Maybe there's curtains. Like they always add these things like as if it were real life you wouldn't, but like as a game you don't think about the ability to move those things. It's like, oh, okay, I definitely can't go that way unless that's like a game mechanic that they have the game around. Another thing, right? So I have the tree. Oh wait, no, that was 2, right? I have 2, 3, 4, 1. The building. Even, I mean, I don't even have rocks in here. Oh wait, no, okay, I have the bushes. That's another building block. The tuffles or the bladed grass, I don't know what the word is for that. So, I mean, even here, right? Like if I add that same element, if you're kind of pitting it there with no real overlap, it just doesn't look as natural. You see what I mean? Like even if you made the argument that I have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Like even if I went and added those trees, right, to have the same amount just for the hell of it. I'm running out of space here because obviously like I can't, you know, space them out. But like one of these is gonna be a little bit more appealing and feel more natural because of that overlay. Okay, that was just a side tangent just to explain what I'm talking about to anyone who might not be familiar with that, right? Oh, you guys just got a sneak peek. All right. So, that being said, all of that was to say that like I wanted to like fix that little straight line there and just make it so that it's a little bit more natural on the eyes. Same with here, like subconsciously I think I added these plant pots here to break that straight line. And I think you'll notice that like just in general, like if you go outside and look at the bottom of a building, the grass usually covers a decent amount of that. Like not literally, but like, you know, like, all right, look, I'll take a picture of a house. Call me biased, but you see what I mean? Like naturally, like something is gonna be blocking. Like even in architects, like I guess you could argue in this case, holy fuck, there is straight line city on this damn house. Holy, where'd that picture go? Fuck. But see, like even here, straight line. You can see the straight line behind those trees, or behind the plants. But yeah, you like as an architect or a interior designer, you want things to be, you know, breaking up that straight line. Now, as far as like the guardrails, I mean, it's real life, so there's some things that you would add there for like entertainment value, I guess. But yeah, like if this was like a piece for a game or like just cinematic purposes, right? I would probably put like towels. Maybe they're drawing towels, and that'll break up the fence a little bit. Maybe some of the fence is broken and they're trying to repair it, so you'd have like a little toolbox behind the little bent part of the fence. The windows are all straight. Like it's not literal one to one, but you can definitely see it here with like these little plants that they pit there to like, it's like 1, 2, 3. Like you have small, medium, large, and you use all of those bricks together to break something up. Because if you didn't, it would just be like super repetitive. And I think that's just something like that comes with practice. Like obviously I don't have this stuff mastered, but it's just basic, like it's super basic. Yeah, I hope this helped. I'm gonna try to do stuff like this more often, because I do know like a lot of you guys are a little earlier in your process as far as building things, so like I'll try to explain things a little bit more whenever I talk about them. If that helps. If it doesn't, just let me know. I'll try not to do it as much. But yeah, so going here, like I tried to add more plants. I did what I called a plant pass, where I just only focused on plants and tried to do that. So yeah, and I think that turned out pretty decently. Like next, did a little bit more of the same thing. Added more plants, added little textures to the rocks that I added, shifted some things around. And with this piece, it was so much easier to manage that energy, because it wasn't like, oh man, Kingston was right. Like out of context, it sounds like I'm crazy, but like when I say manage energy, like I mean your focus, like your if I was to get, all right, the easiest way I can do this is gamify it, right? Basically managing your stamina, right? So you come to a photo with stamina. If you spend, and you have 100 stamina, right? You can use 30 stamina on texturing, 30 stamina on plants and nature and stuff like that, 30 stamina on what's something else, man? Adding things to the scene. Okay, no, we'll just say in terms of rendering. You can use stamina on rendering the plants, the stone, the wood, whatever. You can do 30, 30, 30 and barely notice a difference per like screenshot you take, or you can just focus on one thing at a time and like have that better, like when you look at it, you save it, you look at what you had at the beginning of the day, like it'll probably be a little easier for you to see. Now, I'm not saying that works all the time, but for me it was a lot easier because, relatively speaking, like this is not a super complex scene, so I was easily able to kind of lock in on certain things a little easier. So once I got to this point, I started playing with the lighting, the atmosphere a little bit, added some more plants into the pots and whatnot. Another thing I probably missed is like this lamp. I tried to like make the lamp a little different. And what else? Added in shadows and drop shadows. I feel like they were a little dark, the shadows here. From here, I started messing around with the sky, like just trying to make the sky work. Atmospheric perspective. Added in a little pouch. I just drew like a little pouch in and tried to match the atmosphere or whatever. For a brief period, I wanted to add like a little duck somewhere. But the thing with environments is like the second you add any kind of animal or character in, like they take the focal point. Like they're immediately, like here your eyes looking at the architecture or whatever, right? You're looking around, oh, like a nice plant, and then like you add in the duck, and then it's like, oh shit. Like I try to look over here, but like I'm constantly at my peripheral is noticing this duck. Like yeah. Added in my like edge lighting thing. I usually do that towards the end, like to show the lights coming. But like this was tricky throughout the whole process because it was just like I couldn't focus on one thing. Like the edge lights. I'm starting to slowly learn how to control them because I naturally want to just put it on everything and make everything look all, shiny, Like I put edge lights on things that like this is not a strong enough light source to justify that strong of an edge light. And if it was, it'd probably have a little light coming past. That's some complex lighting shit though. I don't know how to do that. I'm not gonna lie. In place of not having the curtains as well, like I tried to add some like hanging plants around the base, just kind of adding something that broke down that straight line, those straight lines. And I didn't do it in every spot, like right here. Of course, you can add stuff that break that straight line, but it's all about control and not doing it too much, I guess. In this case, I probably could have done that, but eh. And then I added like the little fall house thing at the top, and I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, I did a little bit more atmospheric stuff, like making it look a little bit more like a book cover or something. Like I think that was pretty much the end of that one. 15, no, holy shit. Playing with like intensity. What was it, 17? Yeah, just light intensity. I was playing with like rays of light. My boy was like, nah, that doesn't match where the light direction's coming from, kinda. And then I just eventually settled on like the little light streak in the back, and I tried to keep a little bit more of that twilight, like sky vibe that I was getting from the sketches. Let me double check and make sure okay, thank God. I was trying to keep that like the sky, like shooting star randomly, all that fun stuff in there. But yeah, that became harder as I realized that like that time of day does not work with that kind of sky, if that makes sense. So yeah, I had to choose. I had to make the executive hard decision to lay off. No, I'm joking. All right, I won't go there again. Fuck, man. So after this, I showed my boys my reference, and one of them. Now the thing about like showing people things for reference is like you got to be willing to take them seriously. Like because with them, like when I show them something, I don't want like I want them to be honest with me. I don't want them to, for lack of a better word, dick ride. You know what I mean? Like I don't want them to just be like, oh my god, holy shit, you're cracked. Like if they see something wrong with it, let me know, whatever. And basically, my reference for this, I don't know if that was like rendering wise, I set a benchmark for myself for it to be kind of painterly. Now, relative to what my usual style is, um, I definitely got closer to that, but they were saying like, oh, it's not like maybe you should just do a like normal cinematic shot because the shot that I was referencing also was, uh, damn, did I lose it? Huh? I think I lost it. I lost it. Fuck. Oh, another thing. This was another thing that I realized. So when I was blocking in my 3D, I got from here to like having this base block out in about 30 minutes. So from with that, like I'm able to make all three of those different angles that I did on the sketch page. If you look here, no, I didn't. I sadly I didn't include like how long each one of these took. I think it was a little over an hour or two, maybe like 3 hours tops. I'm not sure. I forgot. Uh, but yeah, that was basically behind that because I knew I wanted to play with different frames, like different. That's the whole point of 3D. Sometimes is just having that quick, like you can. It's as quick as switching the perspective or the camera position, and then you can just go straight back into drawing those exact same details on the house, and every time it's pretty much going to get faster because you already know what's supposed to be there, you know what I mean? um so yeah, what was I just talking about? Man, this video's already an hour. Oh my god. Fuck. Okay. uh Damn it, man, what was. All right, anyways, let's just say I had this for reference, right? It was basically a house like on some random hill, kind of like straight on. It wasn't, and mind you, like this kind of came across as kind of like a book cover. Like kind of like a book cover that you would expect because of the vertical shot, you know. Their main argument was like, hey, like it's not a horizontal shot. This is kind of like a book for a book or something. You were trying to practice this. I think it was something along those lines. So I was like, fuck, fine, man. So I was like, because the first question, we have this like inside joke where basically we give each other feedback, and sometimes the feedback is so drastic that you might as well just go and add a fucking dragon, like paint a dragon in like real life. You know what I mean? Like might as well just. They were like, oh, this is good, but like, can you add a dragon breathing fire in the background? Like, what? What do you mean, bro? Like, so like that's basically I got the equivalent of that from my boy, but like they after a good like hard thought about it, I was like, fuck, they're right, man. Like I low key could have did like a more, because if I was referencing book covers, like I in this moment I could have done one or two things. I would have been like, oh, like I'll do it better next time. Like I'll just do another shot next time and I'll make sure I stick closer to it. Or I could have hammered that home, which is what I ended up doing. Like, hey, that's what you set out to do. That's what you should do, kind of thing. Don't like get that feedback and be like, oh no, I meant to do that though. You know what I mean? I had to be really honest with myself. So basically where I'm going with this is that like he ended up asking me, he's like, how long did it take you to get to the paint over from 3D? And I don't remember what I said. I think I said like a couple weeks or something, because at the time, like, this was probably, I was working on this for like maybe a month at this point. And he was like, yeah, how long do you think it'll take you to do it again, like if you were to change the angle and just kept the same design, that way you didn't have to design that much. And I was like, fuck, like I forget what I said. But either way, he was like, oh yeah, you could just do that. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I don't even, but like I said, I had to be honest. Like, I did not, I don't know if I'm getting that point across. It was like, the point wasn't that this was necessarily bad. It was that, like, looking at my reference, it doesn't look like this looks like a cinematic shot and this looks like a book cover, like just the format, like, or just maybe the shape, I don't know. But anyways, I took that to home and I just went back into 3D really quick, and I started design like giving it like a low design pass on the side because basically I only had this thing designed from this angle, so I had to take that. So yes, I did make a second fucking version, dude. Oh. So anyways, I took that and slowly started chipping away at the side of the building, trying to make it interesting enough to not be as much of a pain in the ass to do. And my whole thought process with this was the same thing. I'm gonna try to keep it not too much 3D. I actually did away with the trees, which still surprises me. I'm not gonna lie, because in this one I used the 3D trees in the background, but I just didn't. I wasn't fully satisfied with how I painted over them. So I was like, okay, well, now I know exactly how I would paint over them though, because I did without the trees. Like I was like, okay, I need to throw some kind of wrench in there, like some kind of curveball for myself to make it more interesting. And in this case, it was just challenging myself not to use those 3D trees. Another part of that was also that I didn't feel like, spending more time in it than I had to. Because I just wanted to get the ball rolling. I didn't want to have to like 3D move the trees around and try to figure out which spot looks better. And that was something that like carried over from one of my other projects as well, which was my first time doing a piece without, with those trees, those same trees, being able to move them around in 3D. And that was one of the pain points for me, and this is the example of it, right? Lighting aside, because I fucked up the lighting in this too, but something that I was proud of was like my ability to draw like the terrain and all that. Like I was like, okay, well, because in this case it is the same flat 3D thing, but I added so many plants and flowers in there myself that like it kind of got rid of that look. And then I threw the filter texture over it too, and it just kind of blended together a little bit. But something that I kept looking at that I wasn't really satisfied with was the background. Like I was like, man, I could have. It was the background and then the foreground, like this little pillar. I was like, man, I could have probably did that better. Like those are the two things my eyes keep looking at, aside from the lighting. So what I'm saying is like I'm trying to like I said, be fuck, what's the word? Do things with like a specific reason to be focused on. Like I say, piece to piece, I try to improve on what I think I did kind of not the best the last time around. And in this case, it ended up being the exterior, like the background. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to tackle that this time. So going from here, I started playing with just straight from scratch. Now I don't know how this is gonna play out like in the future or whatever, but knowing, like, I'm just gonna quickly say, like, the fact that I did that, I'm so happy. God damn it, was it stressful? Like, but I'm really glad that I did it. And I don't think it turned out too bad for my first time doing it. But yeah, I immediately started thinking about like what the terrain would look like. Started like trying to break out like okay. I started planning on how I would break up the floor, because obviously it looks flat in 3D right now, and the background. And another thing was like it was such a big shot and it was kind of stressing me out a bit, so I cropped it to be a little closer and more focused on the actual house, because it was just way too zoomed out for me. And I didn't want to do that much, like, because at this point I was still like super, I didn't even know what would happen with this, if I'm being honest. Like, even just the fence here, I was like, man, I super underdeveloped this fence, because now it's like look at it. You've got two straight lines and then just the pillars. There's no like transition here. And that's something that kind of irritated me even until later in the process. But like at this point, I was just like, hey man, that's not the focus. If someone's looking at that instead of the house, you've got way bigger fucking problems. Like, I was just like, hey man, if that's what people take away from that entire piece, then fuck it. Like, you can focus on that next time. Shouldn't be a hard fix. You know what I mean? So, yeah, slowly started like doing a little paint over on the building, kind of doing the same thing that I usually do. Another thing that I'm still trying to figure out is the roof tiles. I just realized that because my friend Jerome actually gave me some feedback that I still need to apply. So the final might look a little different than what you guys see in the video if you end up seeing it on my socials. But anyways, yeah, just starting to plot in those things of trees because, like I said, that was something that I learned from the first pass, right? Or the first painting that I did was like trying to like learning how to do these plants and whatnot. That was something that I learned, so that was what I was comfortable with. I'm like, okay, put in the shadows for all the plants. You know what to do from there, and if we find any way to improve on that during, so be it. Okay, so like I said, zoomed in a little bit more and started doing the thing with the plants. The thing with the plants, I didn't want them to be too noisy. So, like, eventually I started dumbing them down using, like, bigger shapes for the plants. But here, like, you can see what I mean. Like, they were so dense. I wanted to balance the density between the plants and the house. Like, I didn't want the plants to be too noisy. So that was something that I started realizing was going to be a problem immediately. And then at this point, I also did start, like, adding the rocks to, like, break up, like I said, those straight lines that I was worried about with the... I don't know if I just whistled or not on accident, but the straight lines that I use on the fences, I wanted to break those up a little bit. Started framing the house pretty much. Like I said, dumbed down the foreground a little bit. Because at this point, it was just like these plants are a little too small. And I had no foreground. So just tried to frame the house there. Starting to add more plants. Like I did in the last time. I was like doing like a nature pass, if that makes sense. One time I even got the feedback of it looking like a haunted house, which kind of made me think of like, is it too dark? Is it like, what am I doing wrong here? Once again, just starting like I said, this is my first time trying to do plants and trees and shit. So obviously, like, I'm still figuring things out at this point. Like, I don't know what's making it work or not work, but I just kept looking at paintings, like concept art and stuff, and just seeing what kind of looked interesting to me and doing my own little pass on that. Constantly trying to flip the canvas, see what works. And as I got more comfortable with the whole trees thing, I started blocking, like adding them in the background. Just started adding in like the clouds, playing with the sunset, the light direction. And at this point, I just said, fuck it. I started adding like the little patterns on the roof because I just wanted to break up that like straight line stuff again. Adding the patterns on the roof, adding the swirls and decorations. And like I said, this is what I was talking about with the tiles. Like, I still don't fully understand how to do that. But at this point, I had like a little bit of an aha moment. Like, I got that skill point placed into nature painting. Like, one skill point, not anything crazy, but like I started understanding kind of what look I liked. At this point, like I said, again, flipping the canvas, trying it again. At this point, I pretty much thought I was done, cause I was like, I'm almost done with this, because I was like, okay, well, I mean, I'm getting close to that render level that I had for the first one. Now I just need to play with atmosphere and maybe add in a little bit more details in the background, fix the clouds up a little bit. Start to add shadows and stuff in there. The only thing I didn't like was the rocks, like the rocks in the foreground. Oh my god. Like, I could do them from afar, but up close, I was just like, holy shit. I was like, dude, this is tough. I was like, man, fuck. And then like the shadows, like I saw some things that I need to fix with the shadows as well. Again, just started. So at this point, this is kind of like where I usually make things shiny. Like, I don't know why. Like, the edge lights, they just do something to my brain that I just love, man. So I started doing that. Like, at this point, you could tell, like, in my mind, I'm really fucking close to being done. And to cover up the rocks, like I was just like, okay, like I'll go comfort zone for now. Just put some bushes in the foreground instead of the rocks, and then we'll play with that later. Like I'll figure out something. I'll do some rock studies, some cloth studies, because those are the things that I kind of avoided in this piece. And the thing is, like, for any of you guys wondering, like, how do I remember to do these things? It's just from constantly looking back at my portfolio. Like, I look at my portfolio, I know exactly where I feel I felt short, because I can just look at it. I'm telling you, I can look at each one of these pieces and tell you right now, like, what I feel like I fucked up on. And that's, it's my responsibility whether or not I deal with that feeling, what I do with it. And as long as, in my mind, like, as long as it's done in a healthy way, like, I'm not fucking, I'm not killing anybody, you know what I mean? Like, as long as I approach that, I try to find a solution or an answer to that problem for myself. I mean, who cares? Like I already told you guys, for me in this one, it was the trees and the foreground and the sky, kind of, or the lighting. In this one, I tried to do a cinematic shot with line work, and I think it was just there was no transition on the ground. Like there's no, like, this thing is just looks like it's glued on top of the floor. When in reality, like, with there being rubble, I could have added rubble around, the bunker. Maybe to signify, like, it's probably been up under attack before. There's stuff. And with the line work as well, like, it's just hard. It's kind of hard. So the next time I go for a sci-fi piece, there's a lot of things. And then, like, readability, just simple, shapes. There's a lot of squares here. And that was something that I approached. That was something I tried to tackle in this one. Like, I tried to get rid of the squares and try to make them, like, more, I don't know, like, more interesting. Like, or at least use them to frame other things. Like, my eye looks here, then it looks to this circles, because those are the only not square shapes, right? So I try to use it to my advantage, like the fans. The drone uses a lot of rounded shapes. The tanks, as far as how everything's powered, like with an engine, like the engine being back there. And so yeah, it's just I'm gonna remember that kind of stuff, and because I don't know, I'm super self-critical. I mean, what artist isn't in one way or another, but like I'm really critical of my own work. So I of course I'm gonna try to like tackle certain things the next time I do them. So at this point, I was pretty convinced that I was done with it, and then I showed my boys my reference, no, I was right about here. So like at this point, like I'm kind of over the clouds. I didn't want to touch them much anymore, and at this point, I was like, okay, this is finished. And then I was in this Discord with let me see if I pull up my Discord real quick. I was in my friend Nia's Discord that we have for like painting and stuff, and I spoke to one of my friends, KU Draws. Yeah, my boy. He gave me some feedback as far as like how the scene was looking. He was saying there's a lot of browns, and at that point I was like, fuck, like. And then I got the same feedback a little later once I talked about like what I was changing, and they pointed out this reference piece specifically because they were like, look at how there's the grass, and in my case, like the grass was kind of like dirt, if I'm being honest. They were like, look how there's that tan on the bottom that kind of leads to the house and like contrast that green. You just kind of need that with the brown. I'm paraphrasing here, obviously. They gave it in a lot more like structured way, I guess. But from there, I was like, fuck, I've never done that before, like in terms of just upending the ground. But like at this point, I was pretty comfortable with like redrawing all the plants if I had to in the rocks, because I didn't over rely on the 3D for that. Like that's another thing. Like in the past, I would have went back into 3D, had to move all the trees out the way, all the rocks manually, and then I would have had to try to figure out, because there's something that I don't know how to do still, and it's basically where you use this program to take a texture from like Unreal, and then you can paint on, like, you can paint a texture into it. I forget what it's called, but that's a program that you can also use for that. But like at this point, I was like, fuck, I've never done that before though, and that's where I took another leap of faith and just tried to figure that out. So I started just painting over, and I'm like, okay, well, I think this looks a lot better, contrast wise, and I just kind of just kept working at that, and yeah, I just finished right there. I think this is super bright still, but hey, fuck it. I've worked on this thing for long enough, man. I'm not trying to like make this some perfect piece or anything, but that's where I decided to leave it at. I was just like, hey, like, I've put in my time, you know what I mean? And whatever I see wrong with it this time, looking into the future, I'll approach that next time I draw. So right now, I think the main thing for me is just adding in the shadows for the rocks for the light direction and whatnot, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So because this video is so long though, I'm gonna just keep it at that. I'll probably talk about more recent stuff in the next video because I still need to go cook, or I need to go heat up some food, and then I'm going to jiu-jitsu at like 5:30. So yeah, I didn't want to like spend too much time like yapping, but basically I don't have to deal with like, long story short, I'm not dealing with the random start times every day. I pretty much have to be at work at like 5:30 in the morning every day, so I'm waking up at like 4, going to sleep at around 7 to 8 if I'm lucky. And yeah, it's nice, you know. It's I miss the tips, but the base pay is a lot, or not a lot, but like better. And yeah, the biggest challenge for me is honestly just the morning, like getting up and making sure that I get to work on time, and like that's the hardest part of anyone's day really, is getting out of the bed when you have to. Like that shit sucks regardless of what job you have, man. I feel or at least like when I'm working from home, I don't care. Like whenever I was doing work from home, like I'd wake up at home, I know I don't have to go drive or anything, like, so like that was there's a lot less of a mental barrier for me. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something, and at least it was entertaining, I guess, for you guys to know how much of what I've been up to. But yeah, I'm out of here, boys. Hopefully you guys take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, all that stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Oh wait, I still don't know what I'm doing next time though. I think my next personal piece is gonna be like a little miniature related, like miniature terrain. I'm still figuring out right now like how to do things to scale, and one of my coworkers actually got a 3D printer. So and he was like, hey, like if you wanna try printing anything out, like let me know, and I'll just charge you for whatever the material cost is. I was like, oh shit, hell yeah, dude. So now I have no excuse not to give it a try, you know. It's always been something that I've been interested in. So I guess the next step, ironically, is like stepping my 3D game up so that when something is printed, it looks nice. Because I can't rely on me art passing it to look nice, right? So the base 3D has to look good. So there's that, and I'm considering taking like a brainstorm class or a art class or something online, similar to what I did for the brainstorm flash class. But we'll see. I don't know. All right, I'll see you guys. Peace.